You find yourself 200 feet below the surface of the Atlantic, sealed inside a World War II era submarine. The enemy is closing in. You've got one shot to fire your torpedo before they lock onto your position. You reach for your targeting system. You fire. No wires, no interference, a clean, secure and perfect signal. A direct hit. You will live to breathe another day. And do you know what just helped save your life down there? Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or maybe even both? And the funny thing is, you have a glamorous Hollywood actress to thank for it. While other movie stars were busy memorizing lines and dodging gossip columnists, this one was busy inventing a secret wartime tech system. One so ahead of its time, it became the foundation for the wireless world we live in today. Sit back, relax, and let me tell you the story of Hedy Lamarr. In November of 1914, a girl was born in Vienna, Austria. Her name? Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler. Growing up in Vienna, even though Austria was still recovering from their defeat in the First World War, Hedwig seemed lucky. She grew up in a family who was considered wealthy and cultured. And even though the name she was given at birth was Hedwig, going forward we will be calling her by the name to which she gained recognition and fame. Hedy Lamarr. Hedy's father was named Emil Kiesler. He was a successful banker with a strong intellectual curiosity, particularly about technology and machinery. Emil often shared his interest and passion with his daughter, sparking an early interest in science and invention. And while her father was interested in the technical aspects of life, her mother, Gertrude, she was working as a pianist and shared her interests in culture and the finer arts with Hedy. From an early age, Hedy was drawn to figure out how things worked. One day, when Hedy was only 5 years old, her parents found her sitting cross-legged on the floor with a delicate music box cracked open in front of her. Not broken, just carefully disassembled. "I wanted to see where the music lived," she had told them. She traced the gears with her tiny fingers, watching how the spinning cylinder plucked the comb and turned movement into melody. Most kids might have broken their music box, but Hedy, she put hers back together. And that sense of mechanical curiosity, the appreciation not only of the beauty of things, but to understand how they worked, how they were built, that would stay with Hedy the rest of her life. Hedy also took an early interest in the film industry, and this interest would actually shape her entire future to come. Even though she played in several movies during her teen years, her great breakthrough came when she was 18, where she played the leading role in the Czech romantic drama film Of Ecstasy. The film from 1933 was at the time considered quite radical. Radical in the sense that it included scenes of nudity, and it also portrayed the first female orgasm in film history. The movie scandalized audiences and made Hedy infamous in Europe. But more importantly, it served as a springboard to a different life than she could ever have imagined. Even though some scenes in the movie Ecstasy shocked the audience at its time, and the movie was even banned from airing several places, including in the United States, the scenes aren't very explicit at all, especially not if you compare them to modern standards. Personally, I've seen the movie and I actually found them quite romantic, but I encourage you to watch the movie yourself and make up your own mind. During these early 1930s, she met Friedrich Mandl. He was a munitions manufacturer and actually one of the richest men in Austria. Friedrich was infatuated with Hedy, and the two became a couple before marrying in 1933. the same year as the debut of ecstasy. However, Friedrich would soon become controlling, and Hedy later described him as oppressive, and that he prevented her from pursuing her life. The marriage lasted until 1937, when Hedy decided to flee both from Austria and her life with Mandl. Hedy's escape feels like it's taken directly out of a spy movie. She slipped her maid some sleeping pills, and after the maid fell asleep, she undressed her and put on her clothes. Then she snuck out of the house and into freedom, carrying nothing but a few pieces of jewelry. She made it to Paris, then on to London, and eventually to the United States and Los Angeles. The reason behind her daring escape was to get out of the marriage with Mandl, who at this time wouldn't even let her leave the house unattended. She also decided to flee the country because of the Nazi regime's expanding influence over Austria. This was especially dangerous for Hedy, seeing as she was Jewish. The timing of her escape was impeccable, as only 1 year later Austria would be annexed by Germany in what we know today as the Anschluss Österreich, or the annexation of Austria. It is during this period that she was rebranded as Hedy Lamarr. When Hedy arrived in Hollywood, Louis B. Mayer, head of MGM Studios, was eager to sign her, but insisted that she adopt a stage name to distance herself from her European past and the controversy surrounding her earlier film, Ecstasy. Mayer wanted to reinvent her image for American audiences, free from the associations that her original name, Hedwig Kiesler, might evoke. The name Hedy Lamarr was chosen in tribute to the silent film actress Barbara Lamarr, who was known for her beauty and exotic allure. The new name helped rebrand Hedy with a fresh, mysterious Hollywood identity, suited to the glamour of the film industry. She was then cast in roles that emphasized her natural beauty, like in the film Algiers from 1938 and Samson and Delilah from 1949. Hollywood represented a sort of escape from reality during the troublesome years of the Second World War. People could go out, watch movies, and if only for a moment forget about the sufferings around the world. Nonetheless, behind the glamour and Hedy's extraordinary beauty, she was exceptionally intelligent. Her scientific pursuit during her time as a celebrated movie star would eventually go on to transform the course of technological development worldwide. To truly understand the significance of Hedy Lamarr's scientific endeavor, we need to explore the world of World War II technology. By the 1940s, radio communication was critical for military operations. The ability to guide torpedoes, communicate with troops, and monitor enemy movements depended on secure radio transmissions. But radio signals had a major flaw. They were easily intercepted or even jammed by the enemy. As we know, Hedy had developed an early interest in technology and invention. And now, possibly influenced by her previous marriage to Mandl, she took an exceptional interest in weapons and military technologies. Hedy had, in her marriage, absorbed a surprising amount of technical knowledge, which she, combined with her inventive spirit, would put into effect. One day in 1940, she invited a man named George Antheil, a like-minded innovator like herself, over for dinner. George was an avant-garde American composer known for his experimental music and unorthodox ideas. He was also dubbed the bad boy of music for his unconventional methods in music. He was at this time best known for his 1924 composition of Ballet Mécanique. The piece was highly experimental and called for a synchronized performance of multiple self-playing pianos, also known as player pianos. Even though his ambitious vision of synchronizing 16 player pianos proved technologically challenging at the time, Ballet Mécanique is remembered as a pioneering moment in mechanical and synchronized music, reflecting his fascination with machines and automation. Together, Hedy and George came up with the concept of frequency hopping for the use in torpedoes. You see, torpedoes were often guided either by wire or by one set radio frequency. The concept of frequency hopping would allow the radio signals from a vessel firing a torpedo and the torpedo itself to hop between different frequencies, making it nearly impossible for the enemy to jam the signal. The science behind it was groundbreaking when the pair patented it in 1942. Allow me to explain. In 1942, radio signals were used to control torpedoes and direct them to their targets. But these signals were vulnerable to interference. If an enemy could locate the frequency a torpedo was using, they could disrupt the signal, sending the torpedo off course or rendering it useless. Lamarr and Antheil's invention solved this problem with an innovative approach to secure communications. The basic idea of frequency hopping is to change the frequency of a radio signal in rapid intervals and according to a set pattern. In a conventional radio communication, both the sender and the receiver communicate on a single fixed frequency. In frequency hopping, however, the transmitter and receiver hop together across multiple frequencies in a synchronized pattern, effectively sharing a secret code that determines which frequencies they will switch to at any given moment. By hopping between these frequencies, the signal becomes nearly impossible for an enemy to track or jam, as they would need to guess both the hopping pattern and the exact timing of each change. Lamarr and Antheil's approach to frequency hopping was actually inspired by piano rolls. You know, those old perforated paper rolls used in player pianos? The piano roll, like a coded script, guides which notes to play. Hedy and George envisioned using a similar concept, synchronizing signal jumps in a predefined pattern, making the frequency hopping a sort of dance known only to the sender and receiver. They designed a mechanism where the transmitter and receiver would each be equipped with a device like a piano roll guiding the synchronized hopping of frequencies. This was an ingenious solution because, just as the player pianos uses a unique roll to create a specific song, their invention used a unique sequence to create a secure communication link between a sender and a receiver, or between a U-boat and a torpedo. That same girl who at the age of 5 was taking apart her music box to understand where the melody came from was now doing the same with radio waves and torpedoes. In 1942, Hedy and George were granted a US patent for their invention, and the name they gave it? A secret communication system. Although the US Navy initially overlooked her invention, perhaps due to her Hollywood fame, her patent would later be revisited during the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 1960s, applying Lamarr's principles to secure their communications during the naval blockade. And all this would happen after her patent had expired in 1959. While the original invention was aimed at torpedo guidance, frequency hopping spread spectrum technology went on to become the basis for modern wireless communication technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. Today, frequency hopping is used in countless devices, ensuring that data transmissions remain private and protected. So you can enjoy a telephone conversation, a Wi-Fi connection, or a Bluetooth headset without the fear of other people listening in. Lamarr's invention laid the groundwork for these advancements, showing how a creative approach to problem solving can have far-reaching and unintended implications. After the war, Lamarr's personal life became quite turbulent. She married 6 times, with each marriage ending in divorce. And she had both legal and financial struggles. In her later years, she became increasingly reclusive, moving away from Hollywood and living a quieter life. In 1997, she was awarded the Electronic Frontier Foundation's Pioneer Award, celebrating her impact on modern communication. This late recognition marked a significant moment in her life, honoring her as more than just a Hollywood star, but as a true innovator and inventor whose legacy had shaped the future of technology. Hedy Lamarr passed away on January the 19th, 2000, at the age of 85 in Castleberry, Florida. When we revisit Hedy's patent and how she was even able to conceptualize such an invention, I can't help but think about her past relationships. Her father with his curious interest in technology, and her mother being a pianist, and of course her former husband who helped develop and manufacture weapons. These relationships, combined with of course her creativity and intelligence, I think created the perfect conditions for her invention. Moreover, when trying to understand why her invention didn't gain instant recognition, I think maybe her appearance and her role in Hollywood played its part. And this reflects a broader issue at the time, and of course probably every century leading up to it as well. I'm talking about the lack of recognition for women in science and technology. Even though women were gradually stepping more and more into traditionally male roles, female inventors like Hedy still struggle to gain recognition for their thoughts and for their creations. Hedy has later been recognized for her contribution in science, but it gets me thinking, how many suppressed or forgotten female voices are out there, waiting to be discovered and told? In future episodes, I hope that we together are able to uncover and explore other women in history whose story has been understated, toned down, or simply forgotten. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Footnotes in History, and that together we might discover more stories from the past. Until our next journey together, remember, history is closer than you think.